Elon Musk started to look deeply into the spending of our government, and he has found that USAID has been wasting millions, even billions, of our taxpayer dollars. All Americans with common sense, decency, and a sense of responsibility praised Elon Musk for shedding a light on where our money has been spent for so many years. Other Americans with no common sense, vegans, leeches on society, and also Democrats, but I repeat myself, came out in strong defense of the government wasting your money without you knowing. One Democrat senator from California named Senator Spends-A-Lot made the point that, quote, if we don't have massive government agencies taxing you to no end and sending your money overseas, then how else would there be transgender plays in Colombia? How else could the Serbian people be blessed with DEI? And also, while I have this microphone, why didn't you vote for Kamala Harris? She would have never told you any of this. Another Democrat representative from New York, named Representative Corruption, spelled with a K, defended the indefensible by saying, one time I went to Morocco, and yes, I rode camels, and I even had some funny meat, and I smoked some stinky fruits out of a hookah. But one thing I felt like Morocco was missing was an expert pottery class. And now that I'm learning that millions of dollars will no longer be sent to Morocco for pottery class, I'm canceling my vacation to Morocco this year, and I will instead go to Minneapolis and burn down the city in protest of this tragedy. End quote. To these insane accusations, Elon Musk simply put all the Democrats on a rocket ship and sent them to Jupiter. But seriously, from the American people and those of us who still have a shred of common sense, thank you, Elon Musk, for what you're doing. I can't wait till you do this to the IRS. I'm Dan Fillmore, and this is the Dan Fillmore Show. Welcome, one. Welcome, all. Hope you guys enjoyed that little satire bit. Let me know what you think. You can throw a comment down if you're on YouTube right now. We are streaming on KMMU as well. Really excited. And before we get started into the show, we have a lot to get to. I'm going to turn the time over just for a little bit for some announcements of what we're going to talk to in the show. And then we will get into it with our guest, Dwayne, the man, the myth, and the legend. So here we go with the announcements.
From the Great Basin to the Rockies to the four corners of Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. Dwayne Benson here for KMMU Main Street Media Utah, coming to you live. We are streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitter, and our website, kmmu.org. What's happening in the world? President Donald Trump is building his cabinet. You want to know more about Trump using tariffs to leverage his border orders? The USAID, the United States Agency for International Development, their complete abuse and waste of federal funds, and news from the president about the humanitarian and terrorist crisis in Gaza. Does Trump have a solution for that and more? Please join our host, Dan Fillmore, for Let's Talk Utah's Dan the Eagle.
Thank you so much for those announcements. Like you mentioned before, we have a massive show to get into today. And Dwayne, the wonderful voice of the announcer, will actually be our guest today. He is an expert on all things politics. He's a political nerd just like myself. And so we're going to talk to him for pretty much the entire show about all the things that have been going on in our country recently. And we were talking about this a couple days ago about how it feels like we're not just drinking from a fire hose, that we're drinking from the Hoover Dam. The Hoover Dam just exploded. And we're just down there with our mouths open, trying to get as much of the water in as we can, because every day is more and more and more wins from the Trump administration and things that, frankly, if you had told me 2 days ago were going to happen, I would have been shocked. And so I'm going to bring in our guest, Dwayne. Hey, Dwayne, how's it going?
Well, happy Wednesday, Dan. I think it's Wednesday, isn't it?
It is Wednesday.
I can't tell anymore because this news cycle is just insane.
I know. Unbelievable. Of all the things that have been going on in Trump world. We're going to try to get to all of them, but are there any that stand out to you as just being a little bit insane that you would not have had them on your bingo card?
Yeah, yeah, the bingo card. There's just so much, man. I can't, you know, every time Trump makes an announcement, it's just something more, more and more and more. It's like I keep getting punch drunk. I'm punch drunk.
It's a good feeling to have because I feel like for the last 4 years, I was really into the news and into politics. I would get on and I would just feel sad, like Biden has done this stupid thing. The Democrats are pursuing this stupid policy. The war started in Ukraine. A war started in Gaza. A war started. I mean, there was there were bands of rebels taking over the Red Sea, and it was just like it seemed like it was falling down. And now every morning is just like it's like Christmas. It's like you wake up and there's just a bunch of brownies freshly baked in front of your door.
Well, and every day it's something new, and I'm not sure what to say. All I can say is when we had Biden, nothing got done. More has been done in the first 10 days of this administration than in the entire 4 years of Biden. And then I have to wonder who was really doing whatever it was that was going on. I
Right.
mean, strange days. That's all I know.
Truly
I'm old.
strange.
I've seen a lot, but I've never seen anything like this.
Well, it's interesting because I only got interested in politics around 2019, 2020. And so all I've known is basically the very tail end of Trump's administration and then all of Biden's. And so it's like being introduced to politics at this point in my life has been very, very fascinating.
Well, I've always been kind of a political wonk, and I'm from California.
We forgive you for that.
Well, I'm a refugee from California. And I moved to Utah thinking, well, I'm going to move to this nice, safe, conservative spot. And I found out it wasn't quite like that. Okay.
Yeah.
But I've been watching politics for a long time. The first president I voted for was Richard Nixon, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
And I've been pandered to ever since, because the reason that I voted for Nixon in 1972 was he gave the 18-year-olds the vote in 1971. And so I went, oh boy, I can vote now. Look. And I attributed that to him and voted. Okay. So I've been voting since 1972.
Wow. Back when the dinosaurs were around, right?
When dirt was young. That's right.
I shouldn't say that because I'm sure the audience, I'm sure there's a few of you out
Be
there.
careful with that old stuff. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, guys. It was just a joke. Okay. So we got a lot to get into, Dwayne. So let's just jump right in. First thing I wanted to talk about was the tariffs. Well, actually, before we get into that, let's talk about the Trump picks for the cabinet. There are no serious updates on Kash Patel, RFK Jr., or Tulsi Gabbard. It looks like they probably are going to get through. If you were to bet, would you put money on them getting through?
Well, my bet is that anybody who opposes these candidates for cabinet is going to have a lot of trouble. Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the things I would encourage people to do is write your senator, write your congressman, phone them, call them, write them, email them, and tell them what you think. Okay. Because, all the pressure that you can put on them will be good. But my guess is all three of them are going to make it. We watched Pete Hegseth was the one that I thought was not going to make it, and he made it.
Yeah.
And Pam Bondi yesterday. So we got the other three left today. There's a few more, I think. There's a few more.
Yep. If I had to bet, I would say they get through, because I think that Pete Hegseth was probably the canary in the coal mine, and they threw everything at him and he handled it just fine. And so I don't see how they don't confirm Kash, Tulsi, or RFK. I think it'll happen. And hopefully we get to know by the end of the week what ends up happening, because the Senate likes to take its sweet time.
Well, the strange thing to me is both Tulsi Gabbard and RFKJ, they were Democrat presidential candidates. And man, when they started leaning right, I have agreements and disagreements with all of them. Okay, but when they started leaning right, they got canceled.
Yeah.
They were thrown out.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have to leave; they were thrown out.
Yeah. No, exactly. And that's actually something we're going to talk about is I think that one of the big issues that Democrats face, and I don't know why I'm giving them any advice. I'm very
Don't
happy to see them
don't tell
fail.
them. Don't tell them, Dan. Don't help
But
them out.
one of the issues that I constantly see is that they are incapable to have any kind of actual diversity, which is diversity of thought. Whereas the Republicans, I mean, there are people in the Republican Party who I listen to them and I disagree almost entirely with what they say, especially about foreign policy. So Tucker Carlson is an example where whenever he talks about foreign policy, I'm just like, nah, I don't really agree with what you're saying. But I still see him and I think that he's good for the movement. And I would never want to cancel him or make him, feel ostracized because we need lots of people who have different opinions. But the Democrats really seem to have ideological like rigidness and like it's not going to change. And if you don't play ball, you are basically kicked out of the party.
Well, they canceled them. I mean, I have some of my favorite journalists, and I use that word loosely because there aren't very many of them. But I mean, Glenn Greenwald, Matt Taibbi, these guys were full on. Not even leftists. Let's call them progressives
Yeah,
because
right.
Matt Taibbi used to write for Rolling Stone magazine.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Schallenberger too. This guy was, I don't know if you've heard
Michael
of
Schellenberger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He was an environmentalist, like totally against fracking and gas and all this stuff. And slowly he just started to realize things that the Democrats were doing wrong. And they're just like, okay, go away.
Well, and
Go away.
I don't even think it was something the Democrats were doing wrong, but the minute they started leaning in a and it's really funny because used to be the Democrats were all against the big oligarchs and money and as Bernie says, millionaires and billionaires. Now he has to take out the millionaires because he is one.
True.
Okay.
True. That is very convenient that he got rid of that phrase. I did notice that. So
Yeah. So
anyways, we're going to jump into the next thing that Democrats have become infuriated over, and again, it's like they move as like a mob. Like there's almost no one in the Democratic Party that is against this right now, and it's USAID. So Elon Musk is taking a chainsaw to the government. He is chopping everything that he can. If he finds any little bit of money that's being spent inappropriately, he's blasting it out into the public, and he's saying we are not doing this stuff. So he posted a bunch of internal documents from the USAID, and it basically exposes that they've been spending money on so many things that it will make you sick. So just to give an example, I'm going to share my screen. This is from Libs of
I'm guessing
TikTok.
you have a bunch of stuff to show. I'm gonna drop
Yep.
off for a couple of minutes. I got some technology to deal with. I'll be right
Okay.
back.
Sounds good. So as you can see here, this is on X. This is from Libs of TikTok. It's just going over a couple of things that they found inside of this, inside of the internal documents. So let's just go through a couple of these things. $2 million for Moroccan pottery classes. So when I made that joke at the beginning, I wasn't kidding. $2 million have gone to Moroccan pottery classes. $2 million promoting tourism in Lebanon. Yeah, I know the last time that I went to Lebanon, I thought, wow, we could really send more of my tax dollars here. $20 million for a Sesame Street show in Iraq. What? I wonder if like they made the characters Iraqi and they made all the women cover their faces. Like they have like puppets of women, but like you can only see the eyes. Or maybe it was just Sesame Street American version, but it was just in Iraq. Sending Ukrainians to Paris Fashion Week. That's what you deserve. $1.5 million for DEI in Serbia. 70,000 for DEI musical in Ireland. That is an expensive musical. And it probably sucked. 47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia. Oh yeah. 32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I would love to see the name of that that comic book character. I'm very curious. $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala. That one is nuts. That's crazy. $2 million. I would rather it be to pottery, actually. But I mean, you know what? I don't even want pottery. I take it all back. Get rid of the pottery too. $6 million for tourism in Egypt. $1 million to help disabled people in Tajikistan become climate leaders. $15 million for contraceptives and condoms in Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. Wow. Wow. So this is just a little bit. This is like the tip of the iceberg. This is what we know. These are like the obvious things that are problems. So Elon Musk has been exposing all this stuff, saying that there have been lots and lots of fraud, basically saying that we need to shut this organization down. There's no real reason that we should have it, which I agree with. Because if the organization is spending this much money, you should just get rid of it, start it from scratch. Throw it all out, and then when people are complaining about what they need, that can be done under the State Department, or it can be done by the legislature directly. But when you have these massive organizations that are third party and they're not accountable to the government, then this is what you get. You get $6 million to improve tourism in Egypt. And I wonder how much money actually got sent to Egypt for tourism. But regardless. So the Democrats are very upset. They're so upset that this is happening. And I think you need to pick your battles, Democrats. I really do. I think you should just sit back and let Elon go. Like, let him go. Let him have this one. Let Trump and Elon have this one. I promise you guys there are other things that you can do that will piss off a lot of Americans. Things that Trump and Elon will do that will piss off a lot of Americans that won't make you look psychotic. Because you guys defending this kind of spending, this massive bloated bureaucracy, is not a good look. Dwayne, now that you're back, I don't know how much you heard about the stuff that they were spending on.
Oh, man, I've been reading about it for days.
What's your take on $15 million for contraceptives and condom use in Taliban-controlled Afghanistan?
Well, you know, they were selling them or giving them to Hamas and the terrorists there. You know what a lot of that is used for? They actually fill the condoms with gas and mount IEDs to them and send them over, float them across.
Yep.
I mean, originally the USAID, it was actually John Kennedy. It was an order from John Kennedy, and the purpose of it was to help our assets in other countries. Okay, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and nobody was watching the henhouse because some of the stuff that they're spending money on it's just I mean, it makes my head spin around.
Yeah.
It's like, really you spent that on that?
I don't know, man. I really think that $20 million for Sesame Street in Iraq is a good investment. I don't see the problem.
Well, and you speak Spanish. I found that out the other day by listening to your other podcast. Can you imagine in Colombia having a who in Colombia would go watch a transgender play?
Not very many people. Not very many people. That is for sure.
It's crazy.
They're not as progressive as us. They're not as tolerant as us, Dwayne.
Oh, and I mean, I've been to Latin America. I've been to South America. Most of them are Catholics,
Yeah.
and you know they're religious people. Really,
Yep.
who are they trying to fool? And then you have the question that it raises is, why are they so upset and distressed that these funds are being cut off?
Yeah.
And then
So
they wonder why people are called conspiracy theorists. It's like,
Yep.
Why would you spend that money like that?
So you're teeing me up actually perfectly, Dwayne. So the first clip that I have today that we're going to see, this was a question that was asked to the press secretary. Basically, they're alleging that USAID has been sending millions of dollars to Politico. a left-wing
It's a magazine.
organization that does news.
It's a news magazine. There's
A news
supposed to be
magazine.
journalists. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So let's go ahead. I'm going to show you that first clip, and then I'll get your reaction on the back end. So we're going to pull this up.
Things that we've been, taxpayers have been funding. Now it looks like there are a couple media outlets that have been dragged into this conversation as far as USAID funding as well. Does the president have any comment on that?
So upon coming out here to the briefing room, I was made aware of the funding from USAID to media outlets, including Politico, who I know has a seat in this room. And I can confirm that the more than $8 million taxpayer dollars that have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayers' dime will no longer be happening. The DOJ team is working on canceling those payments now. Again, this is a whole of government effort to ensure that we are going line by line when it comes to the federal government's books.
So, Dwayne, what are your thoughts? They spent $8 million on Politico. $8 million.
First, isn't Carolyn Levitt a breath of fresh air?
Goodness gracious.
She's tough as nails.
Yeah.
You know, I miss Kayleigh McEnany, but she's just as good. Okay.
I agree. I would
God
agree
bless.
with that.
God bless him for finding somebody. You know, KJP, Corinne Jean-Pierre. I just used to make me roll my eyes. But anyway, what they had to reveal this, and then when you find out that it's journalists, well, sort of magazine editors and writers, and Politico is a left-wing, well, let's just say progressive. It's sort of a magazine, I guess. I don't know exactly what to call it. It's a magazine. It's electronic, but you know, these people, they better be ducking.
Yeah,
it's time. And a couple of people have fled the scene. You know, they've left the country. They've abandoned their posts because of was it the I forget which organization it was. It might have been the Fed Bank. One of the executives there. He just left. He quit. He quit. So that's what needs to start happening. You don't even have to fire them. It's going to be so embarrassing for them. They're going to just need to abandon ship.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the Politico website right now, and this is one of their headlines. I'm just going to share this with you.
Oh boy,
and
let's see what they have to say.
You tell me if you think that they're balanced and that they deserve 8 million of our dollars. It says Trump is turning out to be a very pro-China president.
You can't make this stuff up, man.
What do you think, Dwayne? Do you think Trump is pro-China more than Biden, perhaps? You think they wrote an article like this for Biden?
No, they did not. And Trump is as far from pro-China as you could possibly get. You know, it cracks me up when people say, "Oh, he's a water carrier for Putin," or he's in China's pockets. I'm going, what? Just look at reality.
Yeah.
Look at reality. Yep. Look at what he did to the Chinese.
Open your eyes. Yep.
I mean, during his first office, he just levied massive tariffs against them.
Yep.
It was economic warfare, is what it was.
And he's doing the same thing right now. He just put 10%
back
on
at
there.
it. Back
at it. And we'll talk a little bit more about tariffs later, but yeah, just this is the beginning, Dwayne. This is the beginning. We're just barely scratching the surface on all of the BS that our government is funding. It's unreal. And I am so excited for it. I'm so excited for this to just keep going. And like I mentioned before, I think the Democrats need to be careful what they defend, because this is indefensible. Like, you cannot defend this bad spending, but the Democrats are. And let's go ahead and look at some of these clips, because I have to say, I just enjoy their tears. I do.
You have some clips of the guys up on the steps of the USAID yesterday?
Oh, yes, I do. I've got like 6 or 7 different people we're going to make fun of.
Okay.
So we're going to go one by one, and I will just get your opinion at the end of it. So
Fire
first,
away, Dan.
we're going to start with Ayanna Pressley, the wonderful congresswoman who's bald for whatever reason, doesn't have cancer, but she shaves her head, from Massachusetts. Let's go ahead and see what inspiring message she has for us today.
We will see you in the courts, in Congress, in the streets. Elon Musk is a Nazi nutball baby.
Dwayne, what are your thoughts? What do you think?
Elon the Nazi. Well, he did do a Heil Hitler salute.
True.
Okay.
My heart goes out to you.
Yeah. Oh well. You have to realize the history of this, and these people, they just talk. Things come out of their mouth, and they're not thinking. I mean, Elon Musk is from South Africa. Okay. As far as apartheid goes, it's reverse over there.
Yeah.
And I just don't,
South Africa is a whole other thing.
Oh, we could do a whole day on what's going on in South Africa.
That would actually be interesting because I don't know a lot about it. I'd like to learn. So
it's really reverse apartheid. But I mean, you have to look at Elon Musk's history. He's just an industrialist. You don't become the richest man in the world by being stupid or by being a Nazi.
Yeah.
Okay? It doesn't happen.
Well, the comment that is interesting to me is that she said that they're going to fight him in the streets. Do you think that kind of rhetoric would be appropriate if a Republican said it?
Yeah. When Trump talked about a bloodbath, which he was talking about economies and cars, they just went to town with that.
I don't see any article from Politico saying that she should be condemned for her awful comments.
No, it's not there.
Because she's defending the organization that pays Politico. And yeah, so that's Ayanna Pressley, the genius from Massachusetts. Next, we have Jasmine Crockett, who has become kind of a star in the Democratic Party, actually. People are really, really liking what she has to say. So we'll go ahead and play this one for you.
Crisis. I want you to know that the crisis is here. I want you to know that the power belongs to the people, though, y'all. Do not feel powerless. In this moment, as the vice president said as she conceded the election, she said, dark times may be ahead of us.
Blah, 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 blah. We're not going to watch the whole thing.
Yeah,
so
she's a congresswoman from Texas, too.
Yeah. Yep. So what do you think about that? Do you think that it's a constitutional crisis and that the power of the people is being attacked by looking at what the government spends?
No. I think it's an audit that's long overdue, is what I think it is.
Yeah. Yep.
There's no constitutional crisis here. The president has the right to investigate how money is being spent in his purview. Okay. These are all what do you call them? All of these offices, all of these places, they're all under the purview of the president. They're all, it's bureaucracy, but they are, what do you call them? They are executive offices, all of these places. And you can go down the list from it, and there are a few of them that are legitimate. Department of War, Department of Energy, maybe the Army, Navy, Air Force. Those things are all legitimate, but there are so many of these executive departments that have been created. Jimmy Carter created the Department of Energy, and its purpose was to make us energy independent. Okay, it took a long time for Donald Trump to make us energy independent, so I would think we don't even need the Department of Energy. The Department of Education is another one of those. It's like, leave that to the states where things can be handled locally. But all of these departments, USAID was it's like a department that we don't really need.
Yep. Tell me what you think about Chuck Schumer. Let's take a look at his wise words.
Jackie.
And we cannot
We cannot allow Elon Musk and a small group of people to secretly, behind closed doors, take away our privacy, take away our dollars, take away everything we have. We are going to fight this fight. I am going to stand with you in this fight, and we will win. 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 We.
Oh man. Oh boy. Just oh man.
You know, the sad thing about it is I see Chuck Schumer and these people have been in Congress and the Senate for so long. They have
long.
Totally out of touch with reality.
Well, you listen to the things that he says. It's a small group of people. They are unaccountable, and they're taking your money and your privacy away. It's like, no, duh. What do you think we're doing? We want to get rid of the people who are in a small group of people who are taking our money and they're spending it in ways we don't like. That's what we're saying. The projection here is insane. What's your take?
Well, and I see Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell as two sides of the same coin. Okay, McConnell's not any better, but and I go back to this question: is why are they protesting so vehemently about things that would seem to be kind of silly waste of money?
Yeah,
there's a reason they are out there on the street jumping up and down because it's their money.
Yep.
That's being taken away.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's fascinating too is that well, let me just ask you, what state or what location voted the most for Democrats in the last election in 2024?
Probably California and New York, I would guess.
DC.
Oh, okay. Man.
By far.
So I don't consider DC a state, but it is. It's District of Columbia, and it's sort of got state status. They have, thank God, they don't have senators.
Yeah, but they vote. And California, I think it was something like 70-30. New York was like 60-40. DC was like 93-7.
So that doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
They are protecting their constituents legitimately. Their constituents are the people who are working for the government, and they have vested interests in staying there. And so as soon as you start to touch their cash cow, oh man, that's when the knives come out. You didn't see this kind of rage when California was on fire, or when North Carolina had been hit by a hurricane, or when people in Florida were being refused any kind of assistance because they were Trump supporters. You didn't see any kind of mass protests from the Democrats. But as soon as you even look, you just look at what they're spending their money on, they freak out and they come against you. They say they're going to fight you in the streets. What's your take?
Well, here's another little aside to that. Guess what the richest county in the United States is? Alexandria.
Yeah. Yep.
Alexandria, Virginia, which is DC. Okay.
Yep.
And it's like, I wonder how that happened. They don't produce anything.
Nothing.
There's no manufacturing done there. How can they be the richest?
Mm-hmm.
Probably there's a reason for that.
Drain the swamp. Drain the swamp. That's all I'm saying. But when you start to drain the swamp, you will see there's a lot of swamp creatures there, and they have teeth, and they are very powerful. So I love that Elon's going after this. I do think that it is dangerous, though. It's extremely dangerous. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody legitimately, if they start to do the wrong things, that there is actual violence. I think it could really happen.
Well, they've tried to assassinate Trump twice now that we know of. My guess is these guys are going to need some protection, and I don't even think I want the Secret Service protecting them because they don't seem to be doing a very good job.
No kidding. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna do a couple more reactions. Ilhan Omar, the
my favorite
amazing congresswoman from Minnesota, or Somalia, whichever one you prefer. We're gonna go ahead and throw this one up. Let's see what the wise Ilhan Omar says.
We talked about Trump wanting to be a dictator on day one, and here we are. This is what the beginning of dictatorship looks like. When you gut the Constitution and you install yourself as the sole power. That is how dictators are made. I am exceptionally upset about U.S. aid. I lived in a refugee camp for 4 years as a child surviving civil war. It is the essential programs that U.S. aid provided that kept my family and I fed and safe. It is the resources that so many people around the world rely on. And it is our soft power. Oftentimes, people interact with our
Blah, 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 whatever. I'm tired of listening to her. So the congresswoman from Somalia is saying that Trump is a dictator. If you look at how your people's money is being spent, you are probably a dictator, Dwayne. So whenever,
Well,
if you ever look at what your wife is spending money on, it turns out you're a dictator.
well, and I think she should meet a real dictator like Maduro or maybe back in the old days, Mao, or a real dictator.
Or go to Somalia, see how great it is there.
No, well, these people, things just come out of their mouth, and it's just propaganda. Trump's a dictator. Man, you should really see a dictator. Go to communist China. Go just not far away. You don't have far to go. Go to Cuba. Go to North Korea, where they don't even have food. Okay.
Yep. Well,
Everybody's
she came
eating grass.
again. She just admitted she came from a terrible, horrible country, and her entire. I can't stand Ilhan Omar. I think she's one of the worst people in the country, legitimately. She stands more for Somalia than she does for America. She speaks in Somali all the time, and she says, as long as I'm elected, the people of Somalia will be protected. Somali interests will be followed. She doesn't give a damn about American interests. It drives me insane. She was just caught this last weekend giving instructions to illegal Somalis about not complying with ICE orders.
I saw
that.
Yeah.
This is a foreign agent in our country who is aiding and abetting people who are here illegally, and she is a member of Congress. Dwayne, how are we allowing this?
She doesn't have a very good history if you go back and look at her history.
And she hates Jews, which is almost guaranteed.
Well, she's it's probably Islam. I don't even know what her religion is, if she has one, but Islamic. I don't know.
She's Muslim.
Okay.
Well, anyways, that's my spiel about her. So anything she says, again, is going to go into one ear and right out the other. And I know America agrees with me. This woman is despicable. She is awful. She needs to be voted out.
Well, I have a bunch of relatives in Minneapolis. They call it Minnesota Stan or Somali soda.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because they're in charge.
They are. They are. And you see how they changed the state flag to represent that. We're going to do one more. This is Jamie Raskin, the amazing representative from Maryland.
You didn't create U.S. aid. The United States Congress did for the American people.
I started a little bit late.
You didn't create U.S. aid. The United States Congress did for the American people. And just like Elon Musk did not create U.S. aid, he doesn't have the power to destroy it. And who's going to stop him? We are. We're going to stop him. This illegal, unconstitutional interference with congressional power is threatening lives all over the world. I'm hearing from my constituents who work for USAID and USAID contractors in Maryland, in Washington, all over the world, and they're telling us that this is a killer in terms of their cutoff of HIV and AIDS preemption. It's a killer in terms of
blah, blah, blah. They're using this strategy to say that if you cut off or even look at what we spend on USAID, then you are killing people because of HIV stuff.
You're killing grandma, Dan. Come on.
Yeah.
And actually, Raskin is wrong. Congress did not create USAID. It was an executive order by John F. Kennedy that created USAID. Okay. And Congress funds it, but nobody's looking at where the money's going. That's for sure. So, I mean, Congress did not create USAID. They were the ones, they fund it, and nobody checks where that money's going. They
No
just
one.
have an open checkbook.
Yep.
That's what
And
they've
that's
got. Oh, you need
exactly.
more money? Here you go.
Yeah. And Jamie Raskin is saying how, well, this isn't fair because it's our job to oversee these organizations. Well, guess what, Jamie?
You're
When
not
you
doing
don't
it.
do your job, someone else has to come in and do it for you. You guys suck. You suck at oversight. Do you get it? So we need somebody like Elon Musk who is actually capable to get in there and cut some fat.
Congress can't even make a budget.
Yeah.
They have, I mean, they've been trying to come up with a budget, and all they have is continuing resolutions that just keep funding and funding and funding. And nobody's paying any attention to where that money's going because it's a big number and it's not their money. It's your and my money.
Yep.
You know,
The swamp is being drained, Dwayne, and I am so ecstatic. It's amazing. And seeing these little swamp creatures freak out and show their teeth is amazing. And
well, they're cornered animals. Not only that,
Yeah.
they're cornered, injured animals. Their power is being taken away. I just hope it works. That's all.
yeah. Well, what's interesting is
After
that
4 years, are they just going to come? Are they just going to come floating back?
yeah,
The swamp is wide and deep. You know.
yeah. I mean, if you get rid of just one little section, lots of mud and crap will fill its place. I think that this is really interesting because the efforts that Trump has made to do his agenda have actually been very minuscule. So, for example, the deportations that he's been carrying out have only been to people who are actually criminals, right? There hasn't been the mom and the baby who are here and the mom is crying. It's been like hardened criminals who've killed people, raped people, have possession of child pornography, have trafficked people. But still, look at the response. Whole highways were blocked this weekend and people are freaking out saying, and Selena Gomez gets on and she says, my people are being taken away. They're under attack. If you even touch the swamp, if you even get a shovel and pick up a little pebble and try to get rid of it, these monsters will come for you. And they're coming fast and hard.
Well, it's about power. They're losing power, and hopefully it'll all go away. I don't know. I've been hoping for some kind of audit. And I mean, back when I was in high school, they talked about the $700 government hammers and the $3,000 government toilet seats. That was a long time ago. A long time ago. That just gets brushed under the rug.
Now it's $20 million for Sesame Street in Iraq.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would rather have the $300 hammer, Dwayne, if I'm being honest.
Do you know what their total budget was? I think it was like $50 billion or something.
For USAID?
USAID. The total budget, I don't know.
Let's see.
It's some ridiculous. And even that, like you say, Dan, they're just scratching the surface.
Yeah. So from what Google is saying right now, it's $23 billion.
Okay. So about half of what I thought. I thought 50, but $23 billion.
It's still a lot.
It's a lot of
And
money.
you know what's insane? That is less than 1% of what we spend. That's skinning the surface of the surface of the surface. Like
it's like $150 for every man, woman, and child in the United States. Okay.
I'd take that, please.
Well, I mean, they take it away from you in taxes, so
That's
but
true.
I mean, I'll take $100.
I'm still for it though, and I think it's a good strategic move though, because at least in my opinion, it makes the Democrats just look so swampy and so tied to this stuff. You come out and you start saying stuff like it's a dictatorship. You just look like a fool. You look like you're defending the indefensible. And I think that what Elon is doing is really awesome.
Well, and what it does is it changes the words so that they have no meaning. Okay.
That's true.
It's like racism or sexist or racist. It's been so overused that it loses its value.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
No
one wants a dictator.
Trump is
but if this is what a dictator looks like, then it's going to be, when people hear it, they're just like, whatever, a dictator. That's great.
I mean, they call him they call him a Nazi. They call him Hitler. It's like, that's an insult to people, to the 6 million Jews that were carted away and sent to the ovens.
That's true.
They're calling. I mean, it's like, No, he's not Hitler. He's not rounding people up and sending them to the gas chamber. Okay.
Nope, he's not.
Do you know what Hitler did? Do you have any idea? They don't. It's just a name to them, and it
Yep.
cheapens the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. So last thing I'm going to talk about with Elon Musk is AOC. And it really seems like she just wants to date Elon Musk. She just wants to date him. She is so upset that Elon is not texting her back. He must be ignoring her calls. I think that she tried to tag him maybe on some things on Instagram, and he just didn't want to do it. He's not jumping on her. So she has a few things to say about Elon though. So we're gonna go ahead and pull her up, her beautiful comments. Again, this is a woman who was a bartender, and that was her experience to become a congresswoman. Elon Musk's experience to be head of Doge is that he's created maybe 7 of the most unique, successful companies on the planet, and he's the most successful person to ever exist. But don't take my word for it. Let's go ahead and listen to what AOC has to say.
I have encountered many billionaires in my career. You all have seen many of those encounters in hearings, in other, forms of questioning, etc. I can tell you that this dude is probably one of the most unintelligent billionaires I have ever met or seen or witnessed. Which, you can probably even glean that from watching these people on TV.
So Elon Musk, according to Alexandria Occasional Cortex, thinks that Elon Musk is one of the dumbest billionaires she's ever seen.
You don't get to be the richest man in the world by being stupid. Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, I do agree. There's a little. He's on the spectrum a little bit. I've heard him talk, but the man is a freaking genius. I don't agree with everything that he does. Okay. And I actually met Elon Musk a long time ago when he was back in the PayPal days. He was working with Peter Thiel and we call them the PayPal Mafia. Okay. But people who are like that, people go, oh, well, he's for free speech. He's for this, he's for that. And I go, no, he's really for Elon Musk, but he has done a lot for people. Okay. This whole Twitter thing, I'm amazed that all came together, and he brought back free speech on the tech platforms. And now, because a lot of these guys, like I said, Elon Musk is for Elon Musk, and Zuckerberg and Bezos, they're the same way. It's funny to see them kind of changing because they go with the way the direction the wind blows. You can't blame them. That's how they got to be where they are. Right. And principles, their principle is where can they get the best funding from? But it's a big motivation for a lot of people, and they're coming around. Okay. But Elon Musk is not a stupid man.
No.
Not on your life.
No. It's absurd to say that the man who, like, the very first person to come up with electric cars was Elon Musk. The first person to be able to send a rocket into space and to be able to catch it back and reuse that rocket was Elon Musk.
He does a better job than NASA. Okay.
The person that was able to get someone's brain into a computer, and so if their body doesn't work, so Neuralink, they can actually make their body work again by rerouting the nerves in the brain. Does a stupid bartender do that? No. A genius does that. A freaking genius who, yes, is probably very autistic, but that doesn't mean he's stupid.
No.
Yeah. So,
what else you got for us, Dan?
I was going to say, that's pretty much all I got about with the USAID. That's a whole rat's nest. But Elon Musk, I say just keep going with what you're doing, man. Don't be afraid of these swamp creatures, and chug on ahead. So now we get to the news of yesterday. And this one has been very controversial in all circles, both in the left and the right. And I will just let Trump tell you, what he thinks, actually, because he does it in his own very unique way.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years. I'm hopeful that this ceasefire could be the beginning of a larger and more enduring peace that will end the bloodshed and killing once and for all. With the same goal in mind, my administration has been moving quickly to restore trust in the alliance and rebuild American strength throughout the region. And we've really done that. We're a respected nation again.
Blah, blah, blah. We get the gist. So, the United States will now take over Gaza.
You know, Trump is looking at this as if it were a demolished construction site, and he's just moving in to do some construction.
Yeah.
Some development, because he knows how to do that. You know?
I think my opinion on this is not fully developed, but I'll share with you what I've been thinking.
It sounds like a really wacky idea, and then you start thinking about it and you go, wait a minute. What? Why not? As long as these people aren't abused.
Here's why not. Here's why not, Dwayne. And I could be convinced otherwise, but right now I don't love the idea. So if this is just one of Trump's classic bluffs where he goes out and he says something insanely big, like a 25% tariff on Mexico, 25% tariff on Canada, so that other actors will actually start doing what they should have been doing the whole time, I'm all for it. If Trump is using this as a leverage point so that Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, all of these countries in that area will actually say, you know what? Palestinians are a problem. We need to address this. I don't want America in there, so let's do it ourselves. I'm all for that. Because what I don't want are American boots on the ground in a war zone. Because like you said, we're going to clean up the bombs. What about the first American boy who's walking down the street and it gets exploded and gets killed? I don't want, then we have a whole war that we have to be involved with, as Americans in the Middle East. So if boots on the ground actually have to go to Gaza, I do not want that. Why do we care?
I don't think that's necessary. I don't think that's necessary. Okay.
I hope not. And if this is just something that Trump will say to get other people to get on board with him, I'm for it. But I do not want Americans in the Middle East fighting other people's battles. This is Israel's battle. And this is what I would have done. But again, I'm not Trump. I don't know what he's thinking. Maybe he's playing the 5D chess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would have said Israel has the right to do whatever it wants with the Gaza Strip. If Israel wants to go in there and mow down the entire thing and set up whatever they want, that's fine. Because it's Israel. It's Israel's problem. It's not ours. I don't like that we're getting involved in this. What's your take?
My take is, first of all, have you read The Art of the Deal?
No.
Go get yourself a copy of that. This is what's called the big ask. Okay. You
Right.
say, oh, we're going to go do this massive, gigantic, huge thing. We're going to put massive tariffs on Mexico and Canada. And then what happens is it starts a negotiation.
Right. And so if that's what it is, which I'm hoping it is, that's fine.
Now, really, this is Israel's problem, but it's not just Israel's problem. It is all of those other countries you mentioned, Egypt and Yemen and Saudi and all of them, because these poor people who are there really is no such thing as a Palestinian. Somebody may come at me with a big hammer for saying that, but Palestinians are Jews' cousins. All of these Arabs, whether they're Egyptian or it doesn't matter, they're all cousins, okay? And nobody wants the Palestinians.
Right.
Nobody wants them. The Egyptians won't take them. The Syrians won't take them.
The
Nobody
Lebanese
will
don't want them,
help
right?
them. Nobody will help them. The Saudis won't help them. And I mean, a lot of it is there's religious reasons for this. There's the different sects, the Sunnis and what are they?
Shia.
The Shiites and the Sunnis. They fight amongst themselves all the time, and somebody needs to help these poor people. And it really can't be Israel because they're the most hated of them all.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
And so it's like a neutral party coming in to help. We're negotiating.
And like you mentioned, if this is the big ask, I love it. I really do. But if we ever have to put Americans in the Middle East again to fight someone else's battle, I'm just not.
There's no reason for American soldiers to go there.
Yeah.
Okay. That they're going to need some kind of security, but there's no reason for American soldiers.
And this might be a little bit unpopular with among conservatives, but I really don't even see like what really the strategic benefit of us funding Israel is either. I don't know. Maybe you could change my
Peace
mind
negotiations. On that. We become a mediator. That's the purpose of it. Okay. I mean, it's just like,
how does it affect us though? If Israel just goes in and wipes out Gaza, who cares? How does that affect me?
It keeps us. There are American interests there. Okay. Mainly, we don't want our soldiers there. That's our big interest. We don't want to go fight any wars. I hate the fact, I've been anti-war since the Vietnam War. Okay. War is just a horrible, horrible, horrible thing.
Right.
And the only people who make any money out of it or who get any benefit out of it are bankers.
Or weapons manufacturers.
And they're run by bankers. Okay. But yes, that's correct. That is correct. Weapons manufacturers. And war is just, man, I marched at the government center, the federal building in LA against the Vietnam War. And I have been against war ever since. There are better ways to resolve things. And this is one of them. Okay. And you got to remember, the Middle East has been in flames for 10,000 years. 10,000 years. Okay.
Right.
They fight amongst themselves and they're all cousins.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that's what annoys me is that I just don't see why we even get involved. It's like, let them sort it out. Let them figure this out. They can figure it out.
Prevent it, then we end up being in the middle of it and we become the world's police force. It's just stupid. It's stupid.
I mean, that's what we're acting like right now, though, is like we've sent billions of dollars to Ukraine and billions of dollars to Israel, and neither one of them is close to us. Geographically, they're on the other side of the world.
Well, I said we've been doing it for 50 years. Well, we've been doing it for 150 years. Since the beginning of time, we've been trying to police people, and regime change just doesn't work. You can't force people to change like that. Yeah. They have to want it. It's kind of like being an addict. You got to want to change. Nobody's going to change you.
I think maybe the argument that I would accept for sending funds to Ukraine or Israel is simply to deter our enemies, because if we're weak in the face of our enemies, then they'll eventually come to us. And we know that's totally possible because of 9/11, right?
Well, and I don't believe in sending money to anyone when it's attached to bombs. Okay. But if you're going to rebuild something, which, we did that to Germany, we did that for Japan, we've rebuilt everything. We go in, destroy it, and then we rebuild it. It's like, but if it's not for guns and bombs, clean up the streets. It's a complete disaster. It's a bombed out crater in Gaza.
It's a whole mess. It really is. And sympathy goes out to those who are innocent and who have died in this conflict, both on the Israel and the Palestinian side.
Yes,
but I'm an American, and I care about American interests first. And so if this is the big ask and we can get Egypt and Lebanon and Syria and the Saudi Arabians to get in there and actually de-radicalize that population, assimilate them into a peaceful Middle East without Americans having to die, I'm all for it, Trump. I love what you're doing.
No soldiers, no guns, no bombs, please.
As soon as Trump, if anybody in Trump's administration starts to say that we're going to send troops over there, though, I will be a huge critic of that. I'm not for that at all.
Yeah, you know why? Because you're one of the first to go. I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, I don't.
They'll conscript you.
Yeah, And the thing is, it's not our land. This is not our land. Like World War II, after the Japanese bombed us, that made sense. They killed Americans. They killed us. They attacked us. So of course we're going to put them in their place and nuke them. But if they're attacking Israel, that's Israel's problem, right? It's not mine.
Well,
Anyways,
and it becomes he said, she said, the Hamas came in and murdered a bunch of Israelis, and then the Israelis went in and murdered a bunch of Palestinians, and it never ends.
Yep. You guys can figure it out yourself. Americans don't need to be killed for your guys' problems. Okay. We live in a peaceful land and we have enough issues of ourselves, such as the Mexican drug cartel just to the south of us, running the entire border, having tunnels into our country, and they've killed thousands of Americans. Let's bomb them first. I will proudly support boots on the ground in Mexico because that actually affects us. Anyways, if you disagree with me or you want to tell me what your thoughts are on this, you can call my number right here. It's 435-851-3987. You can disagree with me. You can tell me how handsome I am. You can tell me where I'm wrong, where I'm right, or just ask Dwayne a question.
You can also make comments on our YouTube, Facebook, X. We are live. KMMU is coming to you live. Main Street Media, Utah. You can go to just go to X or YouTube or Rumble and search KMMU. You'll find us. Or you can go to our website, kmmu.org, and check us out.
For sure. If you want to call, the number again is on the screen. So last thing we're going to wrap up with while we're waiting to see if anybody will call me. I don't think anyone will. Is during this press conference, I don't know if you saw this clip, but President Trump was asked a question by this lady from Afghanistan, and his reaction is pretty funny. So just to end it on a light mood.
Do you have any plan to change Afghanistan situation? Are you able to recognize Taliban? Because I'm an Afghan journalist, Afghan suffrage woman. Any comment about Afghanistan? What's your future plan for Afghan people, especially Afghanistan?
I have a little hard time understanding you. Where are you from? Oh, actually, it's a beautiful voice and a beautiful accent. The only problem is I can't understand a word you're saying. But I just say this. Good luck. Live in peace.
So Trump can't understand her accent, and I have to admit I didn't catch it, and I think the microphone
across the room, and you got to remember,
yeah,
Melania speaks about 6 languages, and her English isn't all that clear. But I'm sure it was too hard to hear in there with the echo and stuff. But it's funny. I'm sorry, I can't understand you. Good luck. Good night and good luck.
Live in peace. That's the attitude that I want from Trump, and he never lets me down. Good luck. Live in peace. Boom. You could end it just like that. Anyways, again, you can call the number 435-851-3987 if you've got any questions. Like and comment, subscribe to any channel that you're on. We do this. We're going to be doing this every Wednesday. It's going to become more consistent as time goes on, and we're going to have more and more guests.
I will tell you, I will not be here next week, but you might be. Okay.
I will be here. Dwayne will not.
If you're going to be there, you got to come to our meeting. Okay.
True.
All right.
Now we're talking about other things.
Yeah. Sorry. I got distracted.
That's okay. Last thing that I'll get into with you, Dwayne, and then we'll wrap this up, put a bow on it, and send it to your grandma. So Mexico has bent the knee to Trump. They sent tons of troops to their border. Canada has bent the knee to Trump as well.
50,000 troops.
And then Canada as well has created a fentanyl czar, and they're also spending a bunch of money towards enhancing the border, putting helicopters, all that kind of stuff on there. Do you think that these efforts from Mexico and Canada are going to make a big difference, or do you think this is just simply to avoid tariffs?
Well, there's some appeasement there, okay, but I think the die has been cast. If they don't follow through, they will get tariffs. Okay, but I've said this to a whole bunch of people. I think I said it to you. Tariffs don't make any sense for this type of a purpose except as leverage. This was
Right.
purely to leverage the situation and get some attention at the borders. And I had to laugh at Pierre Trudeau. Well, if you're going to do that to us, then we're going to do this to you. And it becomes, tariff wars. It becomes
Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our Canadian, the illustrious, well, you and
Our evil top hat.
the evil twin up in Canada, and you and I both believe that he's really Fidel Castro's son. So. Look at him. You look at the two pictures together, and you go, "Oh,
It's too similar."
But I mean,
Far too similar.
It's kind of funny. That's kind of a funny thing. That's a joke more than anything else.
Sure.
But I mean, the fact that he came back all tough and blustery, and then 30 minutes later he said, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
we'll do something," and they're all a bunch of cowards. And there's a new sheriff in town.
It's the first time in a long time that America's full force has been used. And America is the most powerful nation on the planet. And it's not even close. It's really not.
Well, and we're not talking about tanks and aircraft carriers here. We're talking about economics.
Just economically, yeah.
Economically, everybody's in our shadow. And even the Chinese are in trouble. Their economy's in trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, so is ours, but it just cracks me up that Justin Trudeau wanted to have an economic battle with the United States. It's like, really, Justin? You better rethink that. And the Mexican government, they didn't take them long to figure it out.
No,
okay,
no, they didn't.
All right.
Yep. Well, I was thinking about the election in Canada is coming in October, and Pierre Poilievre is looking like he's going to be most likely the next prime minister. And I used to like Pierre Poilievre a lot, but now that it's coming down to it, I think he's going to be a good negotiator. And I think he'll actually do good for Canada, which in turn could be bad for us. So I think we got to enjoy handsome Bernie Sanders, Fidel Castro's son, for a little bit longer while we have him, because I think he's going to be more weak than Pierre. Because Pierre, if you've been looking at the stuff he's been saying about how he's going to hit America back and he's going to be smart about it, I actually believe it. I actually truly believe it. So.
I think he'll negotiate, whereas Trudeau is just bluffing. He's just bluster.
Yeah. Pierre actually is a smart guy. So I say take advantage of the idiots while we have them, and be grateful that we have them in other countries and not ours, at least as a leader for right now. So,
well, and
thanks.
You have to think about, for the past 4 years, we haven't had anybody here.
No.
I want to know who was running this government. I really want to know. And I have my suspicions, you can name names and point at people, but it sure wasn't Joe Biden.
That's for sure. We can all agree on that.
It was not Joe Biden.
Yep. Well, thanks, Dwayne. I really appreciate you jumping on. And again, everybody who's watching this right now, make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment. If the comment is just horrible and vicious and totally off color, we might read it on the next show. So, because that's right where it belongs, with us horrible and vicious men.
Next time, Dan, is I can set up the call-in studio. We can take calls there too.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Because that works.
Okay, everybody. Thanks again. Join us next Wednesday. And thank you so much for coming along.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
Are you calling me?
Oh. I hit the button. I had the text up, and good news is it's a touchscreen. Bad news is it's a touchscreen.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.